We will take a look at everybody's work. So I did have an awful lot of people that did not turn in things in the last couple of weeks. And so I'm trying to make sure that I'm contacting those people and telling them, hey, what's going on? Where's your stuff? Some of the people that I contacted are here today. Hello. Which means good for you. You're going to be showing stuff or at least telling me why. But there are a number of others who I have not heard from at all. So trying to make sure that we stay on top of that stuff. We're going to go down the list and take a look at everything that is submitted here. But I wanted to bring to your guys' attention something that James was telling me over Slack. They were saying that the Riverside campus is interested in hosting a game jam. And so we might be able to participate with that at I think it was the middle or the first couple of weeks of March. So that would be way down here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, about 2 months until that happens. So that is a pretty exciting and interesting thing. And I'd like you guys to consider that by that point, maybe we should form teams and do little game jam projects, because I think it would be really positive for you guys to experience what that's like. If you guys don't know what a game jam is already, it is an event in which there is a theme or a requirement announced, and teams in a very short amount of time make a little prototype game project. It's not really expected to be polished, but as good as you can make it, as bug free as you can. And then everyone views the various works and vote on the best one to congratulate them. But really there's nothing at stake, and not having something ready is not a big deal. It's just sort of a way to incentivize teamwork and very quick ideation within game development. So it's really fun. The ones that I've seen and our students have participated in have always been really cool. And we've even had classes that run sort of like a weekly game jam, which was really cool as well. So keep that in mind. Within the next few weeks, I might simulate that same sort of thing to say, let's get some small groups together and try one ourselves. And then that might embolden you to say, oh, this isn't so bad. And then we could, compete in a game jam and have some fun. It's always cool to see how other people do their game development as well. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and go down the list, just clicking every link that is available to me, and let's take a look at what we have. So first, we've got Ethan. Oh, let me put that aside. There we go. Igneous. First game I made with Unity. My goal was to get a feel for how Unity works, since this is my first time ever using it. I think I accomplished what I wanted. Okay, let's take a look. Looks like audio is muted. That's probably a good thing. Let's check the controls first. Oh boy. I do have an Xbox controller, or not, I have a third-party controller plugged in, Logitech. Maybe it'll work on there. I could actually try. So we've got move, shoot. Okay, keyboard. I don't know what that is on a keyboard. Is that a mouse? That's a left and right mouse. Switching, jumping. So that seems like pretty standard FPS controls for that. And then over there. Okay, I'm going to try and see if my keyboard, or my controller actually does register that. Whoa. There's like a shadow ghost. I cannot turn fast enough to face him. There we go. Wow, that guy was like very, very deadly. There we go. We can aim. I gotta reload. That's pretty cool. Looks like they're just gonna keep on coming. It works. Is Ethan here to talk? Or no? For some reason, this is really weird. So I've played quite a lot of shooters, and one of the things that you do a lot is a circle strafe or semi-circle strafe. Like this, you walk one way while aiming the other way. For some reason, this feels really off to me, and I can't tell why. Like, the movement rate and the turn rate are slightly different than I'm used to, and that's over like a wide number of games. I'm not quite sure what's going on there. Just something weird. Could just be my imagination, but oh, I know what it is. It's that my turn rate is linear and very, very slow. That's what it is. So typically you have something called well, mouse acceleration, but you could also have it on thumbsticks in games, which means that the further you push it, the more it accelerates faster and faster the longer you hold it, or the faster you move it, the quicker the velocity is. Since it doesn't have that, and that's an almost ubiquitous feature of first-person shooters, it's very strange to go without it for the first time in a long time, where I've got this very ponderous linear movement. Very interesting. I see there's a pause menu. I can turn up look sensitivity, it looks like. Can I do it with my controller? Yeah, I can. Okay, let's try that. Turn it up a little. That helps. It's still a little odd now that I know that it's completely linear. So you should be able to like lock your cursor onto something and then move and rotate yourself around it. Ugh, but I can't track at just the right speed to do it. Oh well, it's okay. My guess is they didn't have control over that fine of detail in their project anyway. Whoa, there's some very big boys over there. I'm going to switch to keyboard mouse and see if there's a difference there. Ooh. Okay, I just want to make sure. If it didn't lock my mouse into the screen, that could be very bad. But it looks like it did, so that's good. So that's what I'm talking about. With mouse, it's always way easier to do that because you've got your own hand-eye coordination to rely on. But with a controller, sometimes it can be really hard. Ooh. These guys are so speedy, and they come right up to your face. Oh, there's like a sprint. That's great. Wow, I'm way faster. Can it outrun the bullets? Yes, it can. Well, that makes that easy. I did it. Hooray. Cool. So I'm assuming this was a part of some development kit or something, and not just entirely original content that they provided, which is fine. I'll want to know whether or not that was the case, though, because it seems like a lot of that would be like utilities that were provided to them or something like that. So very good. I mean, it functions. There's little tiny like play gripes here and there, but that's no big deal whatsoever for one of our projects. So very good job. Anybody got any comments for Ethan's project? Everybody still there?
Yeah, it looked good.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure that I didn't lose you guys somehow. Cool. All right. Very good. Let's take a look at the next one. So we've got Alan or Bronson. Actually, which one is your first name? Is it Bronson your first name? We'll take a look. I can hear you just barely. You're a little quiet. How would you code aim assist in Unity? That actually wouldn't be too hard. You would have to determine what is a target and have control over the positioning of your camera, and then push the cursor towards the target by some amount, either 100% within a certain distance or less. But you would have to also simultaneously track where the mouse really would be so that you know when to disengage, otherwise you could never look away again. That was a good question. Alright, so we're going to try this one out. I think I heard him talk, but then he went away. Yeah, you're real quiet, but I can hear you. I can maybe turn up your... I can turn up your user volume right here. Give it a try. Well, it's almost inaudible, like very quiet. Okay, so what we got here, there we go. We've got this little pill guy that I can move around. Looks like WASD, space, and mouse to look around. Can I go under here? Hey, I found a little coin. Oh, my camera. So, there we go. One of the features of third-person games that we all take for granted because everyone does it so well is collision with environments or turning things transparent in environments. And so when you get a fully unbounded camera like this, which can go through things, suddenly it's very strange because you can lose track of your player and clip through objects and stuff like that. It is hard to set one up to work perfectly, but essentially it just amounts to, if the camera runs into something, get closer to the target, so get closer to the player. And that tends to help. One thing I keep wanting to do, though, is look up higher to see the environment, and since I'm kind of like centered on the player, it's a little bit weird. I would suggest not centering the view on the player, but centered above their head. That way we can see more of the environment around us. Uh-oh, I died. Very first jump. Try again. Yeah. Whoa, he flew off the other side. Okay. Did I spawn in nowhere? Okay, I'm going to have to restart. I'm going to check and see how slippery the ground is before I try this jump again. Let's see. Oh, it's a little bit. Okay. Yeah, it keeps going for about half a second after I stop pushing the thing. So, it's going to make that pretty hard. Maybe I'll go a diagonal. Give myself a little more room. Ooh, there we go. Okay. So that looks really intimidating. Well, I didn't even jump. Oh, no. Can I just go around it? I'd love to do that. Let's go over here. I wonder if those kill me or just push me around. Let's find out. Well, they hurt, I guess. Or stun or something. Ooh. There we go. Ooh, I am having a tough time orienting myself in 3 dimensions here. Ooh, okay, we made it up here. Is there... Ooh, wow! There's an elevator. Up we go. Okay. Can I zoom my camera at all? No? Oh! Oh! I tried to walk backwards and then fell off the thing. Cool. So, I mean, this mostly works. It's kind of what I would expect from building a game like this for the first time, maybe from scratch. And that's kind of what it looks like, is that you're building it from scratch, which is cool because you'll learn a whole lot from doing something like that. But it also means that there's going to be a lot of unpleasantry because that's just the nature of trying to figure things out that have been done, for decades by multi-million-dollar companies who had the time to figure everything out to the nth degree. But not a bad attempt either. Most of the big features that you would want are here, and most of the gripes really are just kind of gripes and not like major game-breaking things or anything. There's stuff that in the earliest days of third-person platformers or even first-person were completely present even in AAA titles, and then were later, slowly eliminated from large release games. So not too bad. I'm going to try to get in here. Just jump like crazy. Jump and dodge. Jump and dodge. Go. Yeah. Maybe if I just push jump a lot. Okay. I made it. And got the coin. So far I've counted 2 coins in this entire world, which is pretty funny. Whee! 1 under the ramp and 1 back there. Collect all 5 gold coins. Oh, I can tell you right now, it's not going to happen. I'm not going to be able to collect all 5. Maybe they're all up there somewhere. Alright, cool. I think I get the gist of it. I know there's a lot more level out there, but we probably don't have to see everything to get the idea, unless he's going for level design, in which case I want to try harder when it's time to grade the thing. I don't think I went this... Whoa, what happened? Oh, there we go. I don't think I went this way, but maybe this is just a return route. This big column. I can't look up to see. Okay, cool. Microphone working any better? No? Okay, I'll assume that the microphone problems are insurmountable. But not too bad overall, working properly. Make sure that you submit the assignment with the answer to the 4 questions so that we can properly assess how well you did in pursuit of your goals. But it's nice to see something so complete. Very good. All right, moving on down. Dahlia, if you're hearing this, you were showing up to the recordings, then you stopped, and you had like a goal every week and weren't turning anything in. So I deleted the rest of them and said, hey, please discuss it with me. Where did you go? What's going on? So send me a message so that I know that you're still out there somewhere. Okay? Devins is next. Oh, he's typing something real quick. Let's see. I typed in main chat. Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't see that. Yeah, I had the class open. I was able to get the camera to not go through the ground, but not the walls. I didn't have the problem with the camera in Unity because it's not zoomed in out as much. You have 2 health points, and there is 1 under the bridge. Yeah, cool. So mostly I'm talking about the way the camera is centered. I would center it above the player's head because although you have to see the ground in front of the player and the shadow that they cast, you don't have to see the space behind the player pretty much ever. And so it's typically a good idea to either center it in front of them or over their head so that you can see what's going to be relevant rather than what was just relevant. Oh, this is pretty. I'll make sure to do that. The game definitely needs a lot of polish. That's true. It looks like it's a remake of a classic third-person platformer. And if that's the case, then you basically did it. If you're looking to polish it, I just want to make sure that that's in line with your larger goals for game development or for level design or something. Woo. That is a lot of polygons for this ring right here. Far too many for this ring. It's a nice high resolution object, but you don't have to do that. And back's a little weird, but it's still working. You could definitely chop the guitar a little bit more vertically. Okay, and then take a look up here. Okay, so wait, whose was this? This was Devin's. Okay, Devin, I'm assuming that you're making this because you want to do modeling for game development. If that's the case, then you got to reduce the amount of edges and faces a lot. Because game development tends to stress the efficiency of a model rather than how beautiful and smooth and perfect it is. The kind of modeling you're doing here is more like for film or for like product rendering, where it really doesn't matter how many edges and faces you use so long as it looks perfect and flawless when you render it, because either for products you're going to render it one time with nice lighting, or for a movie you're going to have a huge bank of computers in some warehouse somewhere to do the job for you, so you don't have to worry about efficiency in that case. So right now I'm seeing a big inconsistency in how you're using your detail. For one, zoomed out way back here, I can still see faceting on the roundness of the overall profile of the guitar. So you could use more edges there, right, to make this a nice round turn. On the other side, you've got so many edges in details that don't matter, like these little rings, that it's practically black the moment I zoom out. For a rule of thumb, if there is no surface change, as in vertically here, there is no bump or bevel or anything like that beyond this last edge down here, then you don't need the edge. So you could delete 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of these and have no change in how the object looks whatsoever. You do need the ones for the bevel, right? And if you wanted to be really generous, 4 or 5 of them is a pretty high number that you've got right here, but then you don't need them in the flat areas. The overall flow of the guitar body is the only concerning thing to me. It makes sense on the top to have it all come to the center because there's a big circular cut, and that's fine. But given that you've got this second object here, this set of rings that is masking that area, you could actually have a much uglier cut underneath that, and no one would ever know because the nice circular object would be shown in front of it. So you could cut this thing rectangularly instead of radially. On the back, though, it's actually causing what could potentially be a problem for rendering or for texturing. If this guitar ends up flexing at all, or if there's anything other than a mirror smooth finish down here, this topology is going to suddenly become a major issue. So watch out for that. try to think through the way that edges flow to avoid that sort of thing. Although right here, this looks like a great example. The neck, where the polyflow is going down and across like that, that's gorgeous. That's really working out really nicely. So this one, although it's got a lot of faces, most of them are necessary. There are a few that are not. Like I'd say probably these right here are not necessarily. Maybe some of the vertical ones, I don't know. But that polyflow is working really nicely there. Okay, so try to be consistent about that. And also way down here, we've got these little details. So these nuts right here that are able to be tightened. They look fine, but they've got lots of detail. I can tell you're just hitting a smooth button somewhere. And then your cables, right? They look great when they're over there, but there's so few edges here, it's no longer round. Compare how many edges you have radially on this cylinder versus how many you have going around on this spring shape. And you can see there's a big inconsistency. If you're going to supply that many details, you got to assume someone's going to zoom in and look. So we got to try to make that stuff consistent. A little bit ugly on the strings as they attach to the tightening nuts also. This bit right here, this plastic bit, holds the strings, and then right from that spot they go straight directly to the tightening nut on whatever side they're being wrapped around. So there shouldn't be like an elbow bend here in the middle of nowhere unless the strings are broken and loose or something like that. Ooh, and also it looks like you missed the place where they're supposed to go quite a few times. So they got to go right in between here, and they usually sit in a little groove, just like this first one, but several of them are missing those spots pretty badly. So watch out there. All right, cool. So I don't know what level this person is at in their modeling, but that's just my basic takeaway until I see a write-up about what they were trying to do. Cool. All right, I don't actually know if there are any UVs. I don't think there was any texture. No, I don't think there's any texture or anything. Although it lets me view this for some reason. I don't know why it's doing that. Cool. Thank you. Let's see. So we got Jimmy next. Jimmy, I saw you in chat. How you doing? You may have to unmute yourself. I can see you're still muted. Is that in addition to push up? Yep, I hear you.
Alright, so it's pretty much the same game. So I have added the animation to the game that I created last time.
Okay. Let's take a look. And Playground's still treating you right?
Not really.
No?
But I learned a lot, actually.
Okay.
Trying to modify the framework.
Are you looking to stop using Playground fairly soon then?
Yeah, I'm gonna stop using it because I ran into quite a few issues.
That makes sense. It seems like a get used to the idea sort of thing and not like a develop high quality game sort of thing. So if you've learned the base concepts already and you're ready to move on, I'd think that's a good idea. Take that, robot. I like the little animations. They're cute. I see this this character I'm controlling kind of like snickering at this robot. There we go. I like it. Take that, you. I want your ghosts. Get out of here, ghosts. Okay, got the key. I win. Yay. Okay. So you were kind of looking at the animator system and how to create animation clips, I would assume?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. What do you think you're going to do next if you're going to stop using this system?
I'm either going for the bold visual programming, or I'm working on a card game.
Okay. What is your ultimate goal? Are you looking to get into production on one side or the other, or are you just looking to independently produce things?
Probably independently producing things.
Independently producing things? Okay. I will say that all of those visual scripting systems are capable of doing most of what you'll want, but there's going to come a limit where something is not provided and needs a little bit of code. And so it would be a really good idea to at least be conversant in basic code and I can't think of a better way of doing that than doing a few, low-level tutorials. So although you can use, and I've heard Bolt is really good, by the way. I know that one is particularly lauded. I would encourage you to know the base level of scripting so that you can go outside that system or fix problems that occur.
All right, thank you.
Cool. All right, very good.
Tabor, you skipped mine.
I did?
Mm-hmm.
Oh shit, I'm sorry. I don't know how that happened.
I was skipped too.
And you skipped mine as well.
Who else's? Were they all like updated under my nose as I was just demonstrating things?
Mine was
No.
I'm just blind.
Mine actually updated. I think you just have to refresh the page.
All right, I see. I think Alan is the first person I skipped. Is that right?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, it's just an updated.
Here's the thing I want you guys to do just for this spreadsheet. Some of you guys have been inputting a link into the letter P. I want you to just paste it. Because if you just paste it, it turns blue and it's really obvious. So just paste your link right in there, just right up in that thing, replace the letter P, and then I'll be able to spot it more easily. Oops, I opened that twice. All right, let's take a look. Very good.
So it's an updated version of what you played on Monday.
Okay.
Just the levels have been changed
Okay.
a little bit. So yeah.
Cool. Oh yeah, I see background art and everything. Very good. I just walk across here. That does make it way easier for me to tell how far away from things I am. Just having the background. Okay, so I go here. I go there. There. I'm gonna speed run it. There we go. Okay. This one, I'm always afraid. Oh man, I need those arrows back. I'm glad I got that platform in my peripheral vision, otherwise I wouldn't stand a chance, I don't think. Yay! Oh, cool. So I don't really know what those 3 blocks mean. There was 2 red blocks and a green block, and I'm not really sure what they were doing there. Do they have some function, or is that something I'm not understanding? Uh-oh.
No, it was just like my interpretation of kind of like a ready set go.
Oh, okay. I thought they had some game function, like they were obstacles or something. Okay, kind of cruel to have this platform move faster than I can. So if I jump at just the wrong moment, I can't get it. No! I gotta like stop and wait. No, you're tricking me. That's a trick. There we go. Oh, okay, so they're not meant to be a part of the level. They're just sitting there visibly right now because it's about to start. I see. Maybe it's because they're not UI, that they're actually physically objects, that's kind of misleading to me. Or just putting the word go on there would probably work as well. Alright, very good. Have you guys accomplished all the goals that you wanted to for this project, or is there still more to go?
No, I think it's pretty much what we wanted it to be. We're going to move on to something else after this.
Great. Okay. Do you guys have any idea what that is?
Not yet, but I mean, I have a lot of ideas written down, so that's something we'll be able to talk about.
You guys also seem like a good candidate for trying to do game jam-esque kind of things. Have you ever spectated one, voted in one, or participated in a game jam?
I personally haven't, but Isaac has.
Okay.
And he's also like judged one, I think.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, he's a little bit more experienced in that regard.
So typically all you do is just pick a theme and then kind of brainstorm and see what you can accomplish. You don't even necessarily need a full playable game by the end of it, but you think about, let's see, on the theme of aggression or something. What interesting things can you do with aggression and game mechanics that might end up being a game eventually or being a fun thing to do, but aren't necessarily completely thought out. So that's the sort of idea. And then you have like one day or one weekend or maybe even just a few hours to work on it. And so everybody has really wacky out there ideas, but that's kind of the point because it pushes the creativity side. So consider something like that for your next thing because it could be really fun to explore.
Cool.
All right. All right, Garrett. Sorry, I skipped you earlier. Take a look.
Yeah, no worries.
So we got character design, yeah?
Yeah, so I finished this, and I'm gonna go from this to modeling.
Okay.
It. I'm not sure what else to say besides that.
Okay.
I mean, like, I'm open to like anything that I could do differently.
Did you happen to watch when we were talking about Jamie stuff? That was this person right here.
No, I
Okay.
think I might have been out.
Well, I record everything and put them up on YouTube, so you can always check it out. Like, just skip around or fast forward it or something. But
Okay.
so she turned in this one, which looked really slick. But I had some things to say to her that are similar to what I'm going to say to you. What kind of game is your character going into?
It's kind of like a sci-fi kind of fantasy thing.
Oh, I mean mechanically.
Oh, mechanically.
Yeah.
It would be third person.
Third person, so like over the shoulder, behind action, or more like role play. So is it like more like Skyrim, or more like Sonic the Hedgehog or Crash Bandicoot.
What is it? Like kind of more like Horizon Zero Dawn.
Okay.
Thing?
Yeah, so some action, some violence, maybe not so much platforming.
Yeah.
Okay. And you said a sci-fi setting, so is she going to have weapons?
Yeah. There's another class that I'm in that we're doing it's a concept art class, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna take that weapon, I think, maybe, and do it at it with her.
Yeah. So it's not that you don't have to have the weapon here or anything, but it's more like, how does she carry things around with her? Does she have an inventory? If so, where does she put things when she's not using them? Are they, materializing out of thin air and disappearing? Are they going into a container like a bag or a backpack? Are they holstered like on a side holster or, a strap around the shoulders? That sort of stuff.
Yeah, it would go on the back for belt. I know I didn't add anything to that. I kind of realized that just before I put in that link.
Right. So
it would go on the back of her belt.
So that's why I mentioned, is because those mechanical things kind of need answering most of the time. There are times when they don't need answering, such as Doom. In Doom, you have a large arsenal and it goes away. It just disappears. If it's in your hands, it's in your hands. If it's not in your hands, who knows where it went. But it's also a ridiculous game. And it's ridiculous, and it celebrates that ridiculousness too. You've got near limitless ammo for no reason. You've got huge explosive guns and lots of violence. And they just kind of take logic and say, that's nice, you're going to sit outside the door while we have fun. Right? But in many other game situations, you need at least a nod to logic. Otherwise, people start to, get skeptical and not be able to suspend their disbelief. So if she's going to carry a large amount of equipment, then she needs, side pocket bags and, little things on the belt, or maybe a backpack or something. If she's only going to carry a small amount of stuff, then potentially she only really needs like a little satchel or a backpack or something like that. If she's going to carry virtually nothing, like one weapon and just a key or a couple gems or coins, you don't need any more than what you already have.
Okay, good.
That makes sense?
Yeah.
Then also, what's to be considered is that if it's a third-person action game, most of the time you're going to be looking at the back of the character. So you've got this long hair, right? That long hair is going to be covering up everything down to about here 90% of the time, right? And is that going to be an interesting character to look at? Is it going to be a rewarding character to look at? Is it going to be possible to not just model, but also rig and animate a character like that on a budget, potentially? One of the reasons you don't see long flowing hair in video games very often is because it's a pain. It's difficult to manage. It's difficult to set up. It gets in the way. There's a lot of problems with long hair, and you do have game characters that have it, but it tends to be the exception and not the rule. Whereas like an action platformer character like Lara Croft has a ponytail, right? It's all pulled back and tight in one little area for a reason, so it keeps out of the way. Or even, other female characters might have a bun on their head or two, or a helmet, or a hair band, or a bandana, or something to kind of tame the hair and keep it out of the way. Because if it's simulated, you run the risk of it flying everywhere and looking ridiculous. If it's not simulated, you run the risk of it not moving when it should move. So there's a lot to be considered there. That kind of makes sense too?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything particular in the fiction that is important in the game that you imagine?
Nothing yet, I don't think.
Do you want an example?
Yeah.
So like an example would be in Dune, they have these suits that preserve their moisture, and a lot of that is tight, form-fitting, almost scuba gear, but the device is on the front in their mouth, and also they've got their glowing blue eyes from eating the spice. Those are fiction elements that need to be tied into your character design and actually say something functional about the character in the game world. That kind of makes sense?
Yeah.
Or if you had, I don't know, a laser sight on your character's visor or something, and so you've got this red line coming off their head, but no part of that visor is visible from the back 3/4 of your character. Some people would go, wait, what? But if you had the visor wrapped completely around the crown of their head, kind of like a hat, then suddenly you would see that and it wouldn't be so odd that there was a big laser sight coming off them. So you're talking about sci-fi. There might have been some element of that sci-fi that is narratively or fictionally important. Not in this case?
Now that I think about it, I think like the closest, like the thing that would be kind of like that and do would be like these crystals that basically give the energy to their weapons. So I guess maybe I could put like a power source on the belt, or maybe just like a bag that has like extra ones in there.
Potentially. Are they meant to be swapped out quickly, or are they meant to just be in the weapon permanently forever?
They could probably be swapped out pretty quickly.
Okay. So then you might put it on like a bracer on one of the arms. You got an opportunity to have some asymmetry here, and also a way to get it quickly accessible. If you had like a leather bracer with a bunch of obvious big crystals sticking out of it, that would be visible from the back and the front, and then it gives you the potential to have an animation where she reaches to the other arm and then slots the thing in and then resumes using her weapon. That could be showy enough to get some attention. That make sense? Yeah, or they could float around her, or they could trail after her like little animals, or they could be strapped onto various parts of the body, or who knows what. There's infinite answers, but whatever is fictionally correct for you can be worked with. Okay?
Yep.
Cool. All right, so just some things to think about. I also recommended for her to give some more action poses, as in like how does she function within the game. So this flaming hand thing was an example of that, where she imagines this as sort of a magic user kind of character, and this would be the source of most of the abilities. So for you, having action poses of how militaristic is this character, how innocent and naive is this character, how capable are they, how agile, how strong, you can mirror that with poses and also with how they handle their weapons or their abilities. So if your game is going to be heavy on the climbing and crawling, then having a bunch of poses in which she's doing that stuff makes sense, like Metal Gear Solid. But if that's not going to happen and it's going to be more like, I don't know, Dota or something like that, then, you know, poses that support the kind of gameplay that you're imagining. Okay?
Yeah.
All right. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's take a look. All right. So, Kayla. Unless I'm skipping this. Nope, I'm not skipping this person. Okay, good. Making sure. How you doing, Kayla?
Pretty good. How about you?
I'm all right. So what are we looking at here?
I was flats practice, so I do plan to render her out more completely.
Right.
Just practicing, but
Okay.
didn't get all of the minor details added like I'd like, but I got most of it, and a color theme also.
Right. So you had the line art supplied and did this underneath it to basically prepare it for like full rendering.
Yes.
Okay.
So you can just easily select all the pieces and
Yeah.
get to it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I might skip the laces or something for that step, just because at that point you're probably going to want to do them in the same pass as like all of the stitching if you're going to make that of different colors. But other than that, I mean, this looks just fine to me. I get it. Yeah. Is it her hair or those wings coming out of that hat?
It is wings, and I wasn't sure what to put color-wise, and I thought red was okay depending on how I do the two different ones, but red was just what I flatted it for now.
If her hair is meant to be feather hair, then it's perfect. Since it appears not to be, then it's the most confusing choice you could have made besides green.
Yeah.
So it looks like her hair continues up out of her hat and turns into wings. I'm like, what? What's
That's
going on?
what yeah, when I did it, I was like, that's going to look weird. But at the same
Yeah.
time, again, I just wasn't sure what to do because I tried a couple colors. I was like, don't like it, but the flats doesn't matter too much.
Yeah.
You do any color and then you change it as you go to render. So just
It's
for
tough
now.
to say. So I see your color scheme right now, red, blue, and green, we'll just say. We'll just ignore her skin tone in the ground and stuff like that. Red and green being, you know, virtually complementary makes sense. Blue doesn't interfere. It's near enough to green that it sort of makes it a cross complement. What would you do for the wings? Well, the safest choices always are white, black, and gray because they go with everything.
Yeah, I was thinking white. Well, okay, I am between white and black, but I am depends on how I want to, theme her really.
Yeah.
But,
I mean,
yeah,
it's
and
more
I
like
know-
angelic versus more dark and sinister.
Exactly.
She doesn't look very sinister.
Not really.
So I think I'd go with the lighter, maybe gray instead of like pure white so that you leave yourself some space to highlight other things,
Yeah.
potentially. I mean, gray is like, hawks, seagulls. Look at some real birds and see what their wings look like. They tend to be a bit more complex than a single tone anyway, but that'll make it more satisfying. Have you given a thought as to what the filigree all over the leather is going to be?
I was debating on putting it in with the blue. I was either the blue or originally. So the thing was, the green was kind of a last minute because originally her corset was green, and then like the stuff that was blue was essentially green, and then that looked really good with brown on it, which I need to fix because now that doesn't look good. But
It doesn't look that bad.
I'm debating on doing the blue in the filigree, so I'm not sure yet.
I think you're maybe trying to control too narrowly what the
Okay.
colors are. You can have every color of the rainbow in a piece. It's more about proportion than it's about inclusion, right? So you're very tightly controlling only these few colors, but really, you go outside and look at any scene of nature, you could probably spot all the colors of the rainbow without moving. Just somewhere out there they're going to be. But it's about how much, right? We've got a big, big blue sky, and every plant has themes of green. Most of the ground has brownish of some kind. And the stuff that is not that jumps out at us, right? So the occasional bright red thing, the occasional bright blue or bright yellow thing, it all jumps out at us. So you could make this stuff any color you want within reason. Like, I wouldn't recommend purple, because that is the complement of green, and suddenly it's going to be like stabbing us in the eye. But any neighboring color to green would be cool. It would be very, very low intensity, and probably the filigree shouldn't absolutely jump out at us. So yellow or orange or brown, all of that would make sense. And also teal or blue would start to kind of make sense as well. You could pick the same one as that. And then again, black, white, and gray goes with everything. So you could pick any of those, and that would be fine. To unify your character, the ground, and her hair, I'd kind of recommend brown leather, like tan or brown leather. Looking at her gloves, they could maybe be brown, or just the sleeves rather than the vest part of this could be a different color, gray or something, more tan. And then it starts to unify with the hair and the ground because you've got warm colors and cool colors kind of playing off of each other. Did that kind of make sense to you?
Yeah, it got me some ideas.
Cool. When in doubt, so something I'll do sometimes is just pick any color I want, right? Don't worry about coordination. Just pick any color I want and just dot them in all over the place. Just cover the character in color. And then look at it and realize it's horrible. And then I'll make a layer on top of the artwork, fill it with whatever I think the ambient light should be in the scene. So in your case, it's going to be this blue. So fill an entire layer with blue and turn its opacity down to like 10%. And every single time, the colors look harmonious. It doesn't seem to matter where you start. If you push them all towards one overarching wash of color, then they all seem to kind of fit no matter how wild you go. Give it a try. You'd be surprised how well it works. It's amazing. And then selectively, if it ends up damaging some of your colors, you can just apply it to the rest of them and not those. So if you had these, do you have your flats in layers, by the way? Or is it all one layer?
It's all one.
Okay.
So.
It is a better idea to do them in different layers, at least by subject, because then you can lock the transparency and not worry about affecting other objects. So like if the red were separate from the green, for instance, you could lock transparency and then paint all of the details into the hair and never have to worry about damaging the body colors. So just something that I would recommend. I don't recommend it by color, but by object. So like her boots versus her sleeves versus her hat, for instance. So if you do that, another benefit is that color wash I was talking about, you can slide it up and down in that layer stack and apply it only to certain color areas and not others, and see what the effect would be if you just leave it out of certain areas. And it tends to be pretty interesting. The only downside to that approach is it does reduce a lot of the impact of the colors, and so sometimes it requires that you highlight them with more intense saturation after the fact.
Gotcha.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Cool. Very good. Do you have a next goal for this?
Yeah, I mean, it's the next goal is hopefully I think it's 2 weeks is my next one to have it fully rendered out. So
With shading and lighting and everything?
yes.
All right. Very good. Do you know how you're going to approach that? You already got an idea?
Yeah, possibly.
Possibly?
Going as I go. I'm uber busy, so I am trying my best to try to get to everything.
So just recently in chat in the critique channel, I was posting up this little Animal Crossing dude that I was painting, and I used a occlusion painting method that I learned from Art Center blog.
Was
And
it this little steampunk coloring one?
yeah, this little guy.
Yeah.
I don't think I posted up the occlusion one though, but basically to do the lighting, he was just a big white silhouette, and I painted in contact shadows first and then cast shadows, which is why I was able to do the what they were calling active camo thing right here. But it's a really good method of getting all of your lighting down without having to worry about how it blends with color, is why I recommend that.
Gotcha.
I'm trying to see if did I save that gray version anywhere. I don't see it actually.
I think so.
Oh, I did it for a pug. Here it is for a pug. This. So like the dog can have its own fur and colors locally, right? But this would be applied over the top of that. You start with pure white because it's never going to shade anything, and then fill in all these different layers. I wish I had them ready, but you could turn off all these cast shadows and just have this blurry stuff where the contact points are. And that tends to help a lot already. Then you can have the cast shadows where things are actually occluding things based on the light direction. But it's kind of like that. If I find some better examples, then I'll post them up on Discord.
Awesome.
Cool. All right. Thank you. Cool. All right. Let's keep going down. We did look at Jimmy's because that's when everybody told me that I was dumb and had skipped them. Miguel.
Yeah, went and snuck that in there.
Aha! I would have never known. I'm not keeping track. All right, so this is your first human sculpt.
Yep.
Not too bad for a first human sculpt. He's a little lumpy, but yeah, not too bad. So were you going for full like muscular detail and stuff like that too?
Yeah, that's what like the bulges in the thigh and everything are for.
I just did that for fun. Matte cap is a way to really highlight every surface difference. It's kind of punishing when you're trying to hide that stuff, but it's a way to kind of reveal it.
No, yeah, definitely not trying to hide it.
Yeah.
I just was unable to effectively do what I was trying to do.
What were you trying to do?
Well, just get accurate like musculature.
Yeah, I could see that. You know how people look when they wear like lycra bodysuits or like yoga pants or something?
Yeah.
Like they still have their musculature, but it's kind of missing any definition. That's what you should aim for first, right? A smooth, low detail version of a human being complete with musculature, as if they're wearing a scuba suit, right? Then you add as a sort of detail pass each individual muscle group and all of that stuff. Let me ask about basic approach. Did you start with a tube man?
Yeah, I tried this with Z spheres, which is just
like a tube man.
typically.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
And at that stage, did you correct, some overall proportion problems and stuff like that?
Yeah, I kind of fudged it a bit in areas just because of the way the Z spheres kind of like blend each other together.
Sure. Would it have been easier to start with like an actual cylinder person in like Maya to get that stuff down and then transfer it to ZBrush for sculpting?
I think maybe so. This was
Maybe?
like really quick, but
Okay.
as far as accuracy goes, yeah, it probably would have been better.
Okay. He looks fairly accurate. He's not like wildly out of proportion or anything like that. The couple of weird things I can say is just based on his stance, his knees being the widest portion of his lower body is kind of odd because it's as if they're bowing back down towards the ankles. And typically that would be a point right about here called the greater trochanter in the legs, unless your legs are actually at shoulder width apart, but then the knee wouldn't be the widest part. That would be scooted in line from the hip to the knee to the ankle, and the ankle would be the widest part. So just kind of noticing that was a little bit odd. Also, his posture is leaned way back, like he's fallen over. So just watch out for that. You're going to want to center that over the balls of the feet.
Yeah, these were so he had kind of like a bend to his knees and everything, and his torso was leaning forward before.
Yeah.
I overcompensated, and the leg
Woo!
thing was because he was standing with like a V shape. And
Yeah.
I was trying to bring the legs in.
Right.
And I did not.
So then straighten the legs a little bit, tilt his body forward, make sure that it's centered over the center of the foot in general. Other than that, posture-wise, he's looking up pretty decent. Now, he is real lumpy, like we said, but I think that getting a kind of scuba suit approach first is going to help. Upper body looks a bit better than the lower body. Lower body kind of looks like big cargo pants or something. But upper body, I can see what appears to be a rib line and some abs, and I can see like the beginnings of pectorals and sternum and stuff like that. It does go a little bit hinky up here near the neck. On the back, I can see what are definitely muscle groups. They're just kind of out of proportion with the overall mass. So first the overall mass, then the surface bumps to get these different muscle groups. He needs a bit more butt, just got to be said. A big square shape is pretty typical just because when fat and muscle contrive to make that shape, it tends to step in a little bit more here in the back. Head is pretty decent for your first try. Here's another thing that you can do when you're working on human beings for the very first time ever. Make him a ninja, right? Just cover his head in a big sock. So get his nose so that he can have the silhouette properly going down to the jaw and the lips and stuff. Reveal the eyes or don't, either way. Cover his ears up in a sock, and that tends to be good for basic proportions. As far as how well you did with the proportions, if I look at his head like that, it looks like his ears and his nose all line up, but his mouth is a bit too low. But when I do this, which I think is more like straightforward, it suddenly looks like they're not quite in the right spot, any of them.
Yeah, I definitely have that whole. I lined up the eyes, nose, and ears,
Mhm.
but they're too high up. I know they're too high up.
Well, so looking at it from the side, I would say that the face is too low and the ear is just right. So from the side, it kind of changes my way of looking at this. I would lift,
the bottom part up.
yeah, lift the eyes up to be in line with the ear right here, brow here, bottom of the nose would be right there. So bulb of the nose would end up here, and then lips would end up right about here, and I think that would be just about right.
And then just add extra head on top.
You don't even really have to for the most part. Not especially. I think if the eyebrows are only right here, you're still pretty good. You don't really need a whole lot more forehead. Typically, the highest, most pronounced foreheads are going to be with women. And since this guy, I mean, he looks male to me, I think it would be okay. Maybe just a little bit more cranium, but not very much. Generally, the side silhouette looks okay, as long as I ignore the nose.
Yeah, head on, he's very unintentionally caveman.
Yeah, a little bit. It might be just too wide. I think the space between the eyes is a bit excessive, and the width of the nose is a bit excessive too. So just bring that down a little bit. By the way, corners of the mouth and the nasal folds, they don't have to line up, and they usually don't. The nasal folds are usually lining up with the tear ducts, and the corners of the mouth are usually lined up with the center of the eye. So there's a slight step in there.
Yeah, the nose is wide because I was having a hard time getting those nostrils in.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I recommend making a ninja. Just make the nose without nostrils. You can always punch holes later on, but it makes it a lot easier. Cool.
Yeah, I got a lot to figure out.
Yeah, not too bad for a first attempt, though. I mean, I gotta say that's not half bad at all. You know, considering it's the first time you sculpting this full guy. Very good. All right. Anything else you want to bring to light to us before I move on?
No, I think I hashed out all my gripes already.
Yeah, it even looks like a fairly sedate mesh, like considering that you were sculpting it. Did you like remesh it before exporting or something?
It's just the Dynamesh is what it's called, so it evens out all of the polygons.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it would be a lot crazier in the mesh, but no, that's still, fairly under control. Okay, cool. Very good. Thank you. Glad it's going well for you. Okay, moving on down. So Elias, we had something that might have been due, and he's crossed it out, so we'll assume that didn't go well. And then we've got Eric. Let's take a look at that. Z-spheres are exceptionally tough to start with your first sculpts. Oh, they are? So Robert's saying don't use Z-spheres. Robert,
Oh, so I'm a fool.
I guess. I don't know. Robert, would you recommend like some primitives in ZBrush or getting a base mesh outside of ZBrush?
Yeah, I just do primitives in ZBrush
Okay.
to get the big shapes, and then basically you want the bony landmarks to be enough of a what's it called? Prominent enough so that when you dynamesh everything together, they're still there, and you just kind of have to smooth out the connections between everything.
Okay. So spheres, cylinders, maybe the occasional box.
Yeah, I start with a quad sphere that is just 2x2x2,
Mm-hmm.
and then I just add as needed, and then I smooth it. If I need to do a little bit of sculpting at that stage, I'll do it, and then I'll combine everything and start smoothing it out.
Do you have the whole thing as one object while you sculpt, or do you chop it into pieces?
It's chopped into pieces.
Okay.
So
I
I have
yeah.
every single different sphere that I'm working on
Yeah.
as its own different subtool. So I would have the rib cage and then the trunk, two different things.
Yeah.
And the hip, two different things.
Yeah. I was going to say I do the same thing where I'll probably build kind of a three-dimensional stick man all out of some sort of primitive, but then very quickly end up chopping, like probably at the belt line, sometimes at the boot or the ankle line, maybe the arms at the shoulder, maybe the arms at the wrist, and the head separate, because it's just easier to deal with. If they're all separate, I can smooth them differently, I can mess with them differently, I can hide the other parts of the body so they don't get in the way. So I don't know if that's what you do, but I find that it helps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's an artist on Instagram that I'll link real quick just to show.
Cool.
He does it in ZBrush, or not in ZBrush. He does it in Maya, where he just like sketches things out.
Yeah.
But just uses smooth preview circles and spheres and stuff.
Oh yeah.
But it will show kind of where my head is at.
Okay. Yeah.
Mainly for to see too.
Well, for anybody who's curious, including me. Very good. Thank you. All right, so we're going to take a look at Eric's. Watch the marble roll. Oh, I did try this one earlier this week. It's kind of charming. I remember this one. Okay, so we hit play. And I think the only control I've got is spacebar. And when I hold spacebar, it whacks that thing. I hold spacebar, it throws that. And I thought there was a second marble. Maybe there isn't. I think I lost, so I got to restart. Oh, here's that other marble. Okay, so plunk. Oh yeah, there was a flipper over here that might have just activated. There we go. Made it that time. Go, marble, go. Go, there's like a little boxing glove over here. I don't know what it's doing. Come on, marble. You can do it. Oh, it's going to let this one through, maybe? This is different than I saw. Oh. Boink. Oh, all that time, and then I messed up right there. All right, one last try. You might have been iterating on it, trying different things. I feel like I have to let it come to a stop before I try any of this stuff or it freaks out. All right, so it seems to me like this was put together with some sort of kit, like to kind of play around with physics and stuff like that, which is really cool, and it's charming and cool to look at. As far as a game goes, not terribly fun because I've got to just wait and wait and wait for it to do stuff to get my one opportunity to try something. There's no checkpoint, so if I mess up, we go all the way back to the start, all that stuff. And making so much gameplay dependent on physics is dangerous because physics is not very predictable. It can go wrong in a lot of different ways. So sometimes we want to control that a little bit more tightly. Okay, but it is really cool. I mean, it seems to function nicely. We got a UI, we got a scoring system, we got a menu system, all that good stuff. So I'm not entirely sure what the goal was necessarily, but it seems to work really nicely. So there we go. So I'll look forward to seeing the submitted assignment to see what the goals were. Cool. Give it a play, see what you guys think. That was pretty fun. Ethan, you've been trying to turn yours in for a while. Oh, he's not here? Man, he's always here. I thought he would be. Okay, Ethan's been trying to turn his in for a while, and it's been messing up, and so I think he finally got it. Star Runner is a fun runner game that utilizes object generation and particle trails. I use this project to better understand how some of the C# scripting works, as well as refreshing my memory on object instantiation and tagging objects. Crouching wouldn't have worked if the obstacles had block sliders. Okay, let's see. I don't have any controls stated here. There we go. Okay, space to start, W to jump, S to duck. Okay. So I'm going to guess I got to jump, duck. Oh, I see. Infinite runner kind of guy. Cool. Whoa! I jumped way too high. Oh! I can't control how high I jump, so I just have to like hit it real early. So far able to make it every time though. And I don't know what happens when I mess up, whether or not I've got lives or not. It doesn't look like it. Cool. So hopefully this is like just generating procedurally this obstacle course, and it's not like set by the designer, because that would be a good test of coding knowledge. Yeah, it seems to be working. All right, let's see what happens if I run into the lava. Boop. That's it. I made it 6, 5, 6. Cool. And he's got some sort of cloud coming out of the back or something. So he was saying used it for object generation, which would be that, particle trails, better understand C# scripting, tagging objects. I don't know what that means. But okay. I mean, I know what tagging objects is, but how it relates to this, I don't know how. All right. Yeah, it all seems to work nicely. I hope that he met all of his goals. I thought he would be in here to talk about it, but Since he's not, we're just going to have to say, yep, that seems good. It restarts just fine. Started from a square 0. Sometimes that's a problem. Boink. We lose. I'm going to jump, see if I splatter into the side. Ah! Yep, there we go. No, I can still put me in, coach. There we go. All right. Very good. Thank you. Let's see. So, next one. Robert, you were talking about how bad things happened and we got to push it back possibly next week.
Possibly next week or the one after that. Hopefully next week, but we'll see how it goes.
Okay. Then, all the way down to Nathan. WASD, and I think this was the fish one, but just with new controls. Got to click in the screen. There we go. Cool. So now we can move in all directions. There we go. We got better colliders on the rocks now. Do we have any limit on the screen? It looks like no. So I'm going to go way up here, and I win. Now I can go forever. All right. I'll come back down and hit the rocks. There we go. I came back down. So you might want to put colliders around your camera area, or keep track of the player position and make sure that you can't go out certain bounds, because that can ruin the game as well. But yeah, I mean, it all seems to function as well as it should. Oh, the collider may be still a little bit large. I thought I was not going to get hit by that one. But I think you've probably explored as much as you need to with these couple assignments, and can move on to something a little bit more complicated, like a platformer or something. Or a Crossy Roads clone or something. All right. And he's not here, right? Nathan's not? All right. Very good. Thank you. And now that's everybody that has something ready today, right? Cool. Okay, you guys. We have a couple lecture topics that have been requested. I'll probably talk about UV distortion on Monday, because that's a pretty easy one for me to do, and usually we don't have as much stuff to look at on a Monday. The 3D sculpting one, I have not practiced my 3D sculpting in a while, and so I would have to refresh my memory on that, but it is pretty fun to do, and it's pretty immediate too. You can pick up the basics very quickly, even though getting really high quality results is difficult. So it is a fun one. I would say a lot more fun than learning 3D modeling from scratch. 3D sculpting is a lot more friendly. So at some point I'll cover that. I'm not sure when. All right. Do you guys have any questions, problems, or things that you need to bring up to me while we're here in this meeting? Sounds like no.
Sounds like it.
Sounds like no. Cool. All right.
All as well.
Keep in mind that we're probably going to be doing some sort of game jam collaboration about 2 months from now. I'll probably mention again, and start to play with the idea of doing something collaborative as a class, maybe a month from now, somewhere in April, early to mid-April. So we'll see how it goes between then and now. But it can be really fun to do that sort of thing. Okay. I have a question regarding the next project I want to work on. Okay. How do we go about the peer review? Right. Okay. The peer review. I went through and manually said, here, have a peer review to everyone for Project 1. However, some people have not completed Project 1, so the person you got might not have anything to review yet. Long and short story of that is, there is no grade associated with that yet, until I can at least verify that everyone can complete one. If you see it in Canvas and you can do it, go ahead and do it. If you see it in Canvas and it's like half blank and doesn't make any sense, don't bother yet. I'll fix it by the time you need to do it. Does that answer the question, or do you need what do we do? Because it's written in the instructions for the assignments. If I go there real quick. I'll just point that out one more time as long as I'm talking about it. Let's go to your class, assignments, game 1, and then peer review, answer these questions. When you're submitting your assignment, answer these questions. And also try to make the answers a little bit more generalized, since not everyone's making a game. At the time I wrote this, did you understand how to play the game? clearly and easily. Okay, if it was artwork, right, there is no game. Did you understand the purpose of the artwork clearly and easily? Would be a way to reinterpret that. If you did, was it enjoyable or interesting or fascinating or whatever? Okay, so try to generalize these answers just a little bit. Was anything broken, buggy, or non-functional? Again, if it's artwork, right, was anything obviously done sloppily? Or was there anything missing or didn't look like there was a reason for it to exist? That would be another way to interpret that. I want to try and make a rhythm game. Is copyrighted music an issue on Unity and Itch? Also, is making a rhythm game a reasonable goal for a beginner? A rhythm game is notoriously difficult. I wouldn't recommend it. Copyrighted music is a problem. But there is royalty-free music available on YouTube because there are so many content creators on YouTube. They provide a whole library of royalty-free music that you can pull from of various genres, and it's searchable. So you can easily find royalty-free music. The problem with a rhythm game is that a rhythm game is hard to make. It's hard to stay synchronized visually and with audible synchronization, and hard to get it so that the pressing feels accurate. If you want a challenge, though, a rhythm game, even a basic one, is kind of a challenge. So that's what I'll say. It's not as easy as, say, an RPG, a platformer, a first-person shooter. Those are easy to accomplish. But a rhythm game is picky. Like, it can go wrong in very small, annoying ways. Okay, maybe something else? All right, fair enough. Although, you know what's easy to do that is like a rhythm game? A toy instrument. So a toy instrument is easy because there is no rhythm aspect. That's up to the user. Like, have you guys ever heard of Bongo Cat?
Yeah.
Bongo Cat is just a toy instrument. That's,
we don't get your audio.
You don't? Oh, well, the recording has it. Okay, well, this is easy. You just correspond a button press to an animation and an audio cue, no problem. But the rhythm and timing aspect, that would be very difficult. So if you want to do something like that, go nuts. Yeah, bongo.cat, I think is what that was when I typed that in. All right, anybody else? Oh, and there's the Instagram link that Robert put up. One more thing about the project. Okay. All right. See you later. Yeah, you guys can feel free to go. We're all done. I'm just going to answer his question.
All right, see you later.
See you later. Did I review this one? Oh, yeah, we did look at it. Okay. Just want to make sure. He's doing a 21-hour tutorial and uploading milestones as I go through it. Completely acceptable. What is a 21-hour tutorial? Please, God, don't let it be what it sounds like.
What does it sound like, Tabor?
It sounds like a tutorial that lasts 21 hours. Which would be like one of the circles of hell, I think. A 21-hour tutorial. Oh, is this a video you watch that is 21 hours long and at the end of it you have a certain kind of game? Because that's acceptable. Like a playlist that lasts 21 hours? Okay. Yeah, you scared me with the number, but yeah, that's fine. But that does mean, like, you're probably not realistically going to make it through 21 hours of tutorial and doing your follow along with it in a week or maybe even 2 weeks. I would say you could get through several hours a week. So we're looking at maybe 4 or 5 at that point. But yeah, uploading milestones makes sense. Take a look through it and see when is there a natural stopping point, which would give you something that would be good to show off. Like I'll show you guys, for example, because I love the cat-like coding guy. This hexagon thing here is very, very, very long. Each one of these tiles is a full tutorial that would take you a good couple hours to get through, but it covers like generating meshes at runtime and combining them, and then it goes on and on and on. I worked on it for like 2 or 3 weeks and only got as far as like here or something, but there's how far it goes. This would be months. This would be months of projects, but it's a real good one. So yeah, like for this, at the point that I would get to probably elevated terraces, it would already be worthy showing off, but larger maps, that would be a hell of a milestone. Like getting through the first 5 of these, that's a great show off point to say, here's the thing that I made, here's how it works, here's everything that I learned, and then you could stop at that point reasonably too. Okay, cool. Yeah, just try to be realistic about how large the milestones are and how much time it's going to take you, but yeah, that's acceptable. All right, guys, anything else before we adjourn? You're welcome. Then I believe that's it. Thank you, guys. I will answer any other questions that you have in chat or personal message. And have a good weekend, and I'll be here on Monday.
All right, you too. Thanks.
All right. Bye-bye.